joining us all the way to talk about what has happened so far at the National Youth Games is a citizen sports journalist, of course, one who is also known to report combat sports and anything happening when it comes to grassroots in Nigeria. Dari Kuti joins us this evening. Good evening to you, Dari Kuti. Good to have you join us on Game On tonight.
Yes, good evening. It's a pleasure to join you on the show this wonderful and exciting day.
All right, Dari, must have been following, of course, the National Youth Games. And one thing I'm very, very sure is you also monitor the young talents, especially from the past and now. What has been the high point so far? I know you fully well that, of course, the National Youth Game comes to an end on Thursday. What has been the high point for you and the low point so far in the National Youth Games?
Well, one of the high points for me is the Anambra young lady who was the defending champion last year, and this year again she won a title, and also Anambra State won the first and second position in the 200 meters. When you look at Team Anambra, you see that they focus on school sports. They have an annual school sports event where they actually fish out these young talents. Last June, they had an edition of this program where most of these young girls were discovered. And it will shock you that majority of these girls also participated in the volleyball events, came to these youth games, and they won a gold medal in the volleyball event, also in the athletics event. And also when you come to Team Kwara, you see that the investment in Scrabble, the investment in swimming, the investment in chess is also paying off because when you look at the swimming events, Kwara won a gold medal in the 50 meters and 100 meters butterfly. When you go to the squash events, they won a medal in the doubles, the female girls doubles, and also in the singles for girls. And this night also, Kwara State was able to win a gold medal in the mixed doubles of the badminton event. So this goes on to show us that it's good to invest in this young athlete. And another high point also is the Gombe gymnast. She was the only athlete that represented Gombe State, and she won a 3 gold medal in the gymnastics event. Wonderful. We are not details of why the government of Gombe did not sponsor the other contingents were not made known to us, but it's exciting that this young girl won such medal. And the low point for us in these youth games is that one of the biggest oil-producing states in Nigeria, states that in the past were known for their capacity in attending both the National Youth Games and the National Sports Festival. River State, they are missing this year event. It's very, very disappointing. And I hope sports stakeholders in River State will have a summit very soon and ask questions why Team Rivers were absent at this year's event. Zamfara that could not make it in the last 2 editions. We are here in Jigawa State, the same thing. So River State, who are just some kilometers away from Asaba, should not have any reason not to attend the National Youth Games.
All right, Dari Kuti, you've talked about the highs and lows. I mean, for what you've seen so far, how optimistic are you that we've discovered, and not only discovered, that the next future stars that will take over from what we have now, maybe the next Olympics or even the next one from 2028 have been discovered? How optimistic are you that we have a solid foundation going into the next few years in the world of sports? How optimistic are you?
Well, I've always been optimistic. We have the raw talent. The only problem we have is how to turn this raw talent to world beaters. When you look at most of our stars, excluding some of the wrestlers, you see that most of them, after getting to the peak of their career, they will have to go outside the country and have access to the best sporting facility. As I speak with you, I don't think in Nigeria we have any standard sporting facility in the country, and that includes the federal government stadium, that is the Moshood Abiola Stadium, and also the National Stadium in Lagos. So these are, you see that year in, year out, Amoson is a product of the National Youth Games, Ese Brume is a product of the National Youth Games. Favor of Philly is a product of the national. Name them. Kola Esther is a product of the National Youth Games. Christiana is a product of the National Youth Games. So we've always churned out potentials, but the only problem we have is how to harness this potential, and this is where I'm calling on the private sector. Everything is not football. When we went to the Olympics, other sports went to the Olympics, not only football. So we need to see how we can convince the private sector to invest in other sports, and also the federal government to also give a priority to other sports. This year we participated in the Olympics, and unfortunately for us, the budget for the Olympics was released this year, while other countries have been preparing in the last 4 years. So that means in the next 4 years again, that's Los Angeles 2028, the budget for the Olympics will be released on the same day. And we are going to be giving athletes, let's say they are training grants during the competition. All these have to stop. We've identified these talents that can make the country proud. So we need to set in clear-cut policies that will harness these athletes. I used to tell people, the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports do not have any athletes. The athletes are owned by the various states. So it's time for state government to start pumping money into other sports, and not to focus only on the MPFL team that they have in their various states.
Okay. Well, Dari, I know you are passionate about sports, not only football, Nigerian sports, and you're one of the few journalists that travel almost around the country to cover other sports. The other time I saw you somewhere in the Far North. And I want to ask you this question. This edition of the National Youth Games, has it improved? Kwara State hosted the last edition. And
Asaba hosted the last edition?
Yes, the Kwara State hosted the one before. So has it improved in terms of the records that the athletes recorded, in terms of facilities? How has it been different from the past editions of the National Youth Games?
Well, what I noticed so far is I've seen a massive improvement in the areas of records taken. Something happened, I'll not mention the sports, something happened in a particular sport where a coach smuggled his athlete to participate in that sport, and the athlete won a medal in that sport. But when they wanted to impute the name of the athlete into the central record, it was discovered that this athlete did not register. So that was how they were able to weed out this young boy who was smuggled in by his coach. So many like that. And it will surprise you also that some young kids were caught. I realized they changed their name. The name they presented last year was different from what they presented this year. So the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport are trying as much as possible to get rid of age cheats. But it's unfortunate that there's some coaches who want to win at all costs. Will I say manipulating the ages of their athletes, and this does not speak well. I'll say in that area we've improved. And one thing I want going forward, one thing I want the various or the ministry to do is that these youth games, some of these sports should be held in the schools, because these are part of the ways we can encourage secondary school students to participate. Like this year, the volleyball event was not taken to Kwara this time around. It was held at the parade ground at the state capital. Boxing, football, and cricket was held in St. Patrick's. Beach volleyball was held at the West End Mixed Secondary School. So I believe the next edition of the National Youth Games should be scattered across schools that have sport facilities, so that athletes who have been discouraged from participating in sport can get interest or gain interest through the National Youth Games.
All right, Dari Kuti, I made a good one so far. You've been giving us updates, bringing us up to speed. But there's a developing story that came out from Delta State as regards the president of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Daniel Igali, who, of course, announced that he will step down from his role and will not seek re-election. when his tenure ends next year. Now, speaking at the National Youth Games in Asaba, and evidently frustrated, Igali revealed that during his 12-year presidency, he has not received any financial support or compensation in his position. Now, Igali, who has led the federation for over a decade, expressed disappointment at the lack of backing, which has influenced his decision to leave the role. His departure will mark, of course, the end of an era for Nigerian wrestling. Dari Kuti, Daniel Igali is already looking at not coming back to the fold of wrestling. He wants to just leave it at where it is at the moment. What's your take on that? I mean, he was addressing journalists earlier today, talking about his decision ahead of next year. What's your take?
Well, the Commissioner for Sport, Bayelsa State, and also the President of Nigerian Wrestling Federation is an honorable man, Honorable Daniel Igali, and he has already made it known that he's not going to contest. Igali has spent 12 years already as the President of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, and is an executive member of the World Wrestling Federation. This time around, he has said he's not coming back. He has told the press, and for some of us.
All right, Dari Kuti?
I don't think plenty people. Yeah. I don't think people will accept his resignation because he has done well, and the minister. I'm sure the minister will not allow him go. But let's see what will happen in the coming days as things unfold. The elections is still next year. So let's give a honorable more time to think about it because we need him more than he needs the nation.
All right. I must say a very big thank you to you, Dari Kuti, for your quality time. And we look forward to a very beautiful closing ceremony. And we hope that we'll have more medals coming ahead of tomorrow. And, of course, a successful and safe journey for the athletes and for the journalists and whoever has traveled all the way from their respective states to Delta. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be on the show.